Today we're going to talk about 5 everyday foods that many Canadians eat all the time, but which contain ingredients or levels of salt, sugar, or preservatives that health professionals warn are not ideal for regular consumption. Understanding what's really in your food isn't about fear-mongering. It's about giving you the information you need to make smarter choices for your long-term health. Highly processed foods and drinks generally contribute excess sodium, added sugars, or saturated fat to people's diets, and eating too many of these regularly can increase the risk of chronic conditions like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Let's start with something most people eat every week, if not every day: processed deli meats and similar products. Ham, bacon, sausages, lunch meat, and hot dogs are all examples of highly processed meat products that tend to be very high in sodium and often contain preservatives called nitrates and nitrites. These preservatives are added during curing to help prevent microbial growth and extend shelf life. And while they are common in products from mainstream brands, there's something health professionals say should be consumed in moderation. Processed meats are considered among the top contributors to excess sodium and saturated fat in people's diets. So even though a sandwich with deli meat is convenient, over time it can contribute more sodium than your body needs. Eating too much sodium isn't just a number on a label. It's linked to higher blood pressure, which is a major risk factor for heart disease and stroke. Another category that shows up in many homes is sweetened beverages and drinks. These aren't just soft drinks. They include sports drinks, flavored milks, sweetened iced coffees, and other beverages that rely heavily on added sugar to create their taste. At least half of the sugars Canadians consume come from processed foods and beverages like these, and avoiding drinks with lots of added sugars can help reduce risks like type 2 diabetes and dental decay. Many people think of these drinks as harmless because they're liquid, but your body doesn't register liquid calories the same way it does food, and the sugar content can add up fast. In addition, sugary drinks often lack other nutrients, meaning you're getting a lot of calories without much nutritional benefit. Choosing water, unsweetened tea, or plain milk can drastically cut your sugar intake without sacrificing hydration or energy. Next come the snacks. Chips, flavored crisps, and salty packaged snacks that nearly every Canadian household has at some point. These products are usually high in salt and often contain artificial flavorings and additives to boost taste and shelf life. The average sodium intake among Canadians remains higher than recommended levels, in part because snacks like these and other processed foods make up a major portion of what people eat. And while a family bag of chips might seem like an easy side for a meal or a quick snack between tasks, the sodium and fat content in these products adds up quickly because they're designed to be tasty and long-lasting, not necessarily healthy. Paying attention to the sodium content on labels and choosing lower salt alternatives can make a big difference over time. Breakfast cereals are another category where appearances can be misleading. Many cereals that are marketed as convenient breakfast options, especially those aimed at children or marketed with fun colors and flavors, contain significant amounts of added sugar and artificial flavorings. Sugary cereals might seem like a quick and wholesome way to start the day, but when you look at what's written on the label, the reality is often a long list of ingredients that include sugar or corn syrup early in the list, meaning it's a major component of the product. Because free sugars, the kind added during processing, are linked with obesity and type 2 diabetes when consumed regularly. Choosing cereals with minimal added sugars or switching to unsweetened whole grains can help you cut down on unnecessary sugar early in the day. Finally, let's talk about something most people think of as a basic staple: packaged bread products. Bread seems like a simple item: flour, water, yeast. But many commercially available loaves contain additives and preservatives designed to improve texture, shelf stability, and appearance. Preservatives help keep bread from molding too quickly, while dough conditioners and emulsifiers improve bake performance and softness, even though these ingredients are not things your body recognizes as whole food. While these additives are approved and safe within regulatory limits, they're part of the reason that commercially packaged bread can stay soft and mold-free on a shelf for weeks. far longer than homemade bread ever would. Minimizing consumption of highly processed bread and choosing whole grain or freshly baked options can reduce the amount of additives and refined ingredients you eat regularly. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Health professionals consistently recommend limiting foods that contribute excess sodium, added sugars, or saturated fat because they can undermine healthy eating when eaten regularly. That doesn't mean you can never enjoy a treat or a convenient snack, but it does mean paying a little more attention to what's inside the foods you eat and how often you're eating them. Reading labels, choosing whole, minimally processed foods more often, and preparing meals at home with fresh ingredients are all ways to reduce your intake of these highly processed products without making your life difficult. Even though a lot of the foods we've talked about today might not be ideal for everyday consumption, it doesn't mean you have to give up the things you love completely. The key is finding smarter, healthier versions that fit into your routine without making your life more difficult. For meats, for example, you can look for fresh cuts or brands that clearly list only the ingredients you recognize. Minimally processed options are easier to handle than you might think, and sometimes just swapping a standard package for a simpler one makes a big difference over time. With milk and flavored drinks, try sticking to plain milk or unsweetened alternatives or products that have shorter ingredient lists. If you want a flavored option, you can always add a bit of natural flavor yourself, like cocoa or cinnamon, which keeps the taste but avoids unnecessary additives. When it comes to chips, popcorn, and snacks, you absolutely don't need to completely cut them out. Look for brands that use fewer oils, natural seasonings, and minimal preservatives. Many of them are just as crunchy, salty, and satisfying as the traditional versions, and the difference in flavor is barely noticeable. Cereals and packaged breakfast foods can also be swapped for ones that have real ingredients and less sugar, so you can still enjoy a quick breakfast without overloading on additives. For coffee or pre-made drinks, brewing your own from simple beans or tea, or choosing unsweetened alternatives gives you full control over sugar, creamers, and other extras that sneak into store-bought beverages. Of course, healthier alternatives sometimes come at a slightly higher price, but think of it as an investment in your long-term well-being. You don't have to completely overhaul your shopping habits overnight. Even gradually choosing cleaner versions, balancing indulgence with smarter options, and reading labels carefully can have a big impact. Moderation is just as important as choice. Enjoying chips, cereals, or flavored drinks occasionally is perfectly fine as long as you're being intentional with what you're buying and eating. Ultimately, it's all about balance. Understanding what's in your food and making better choices doesn't mean giving up convenience or flavor. It means being conscious, practical, and flexible with how you feed yourself and your family. Small changes like swapping one item at a time, picking simpler ingredients, or making minor adjustments to your meals add up, and over time you'll find it becomes second nature. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's making your diet work for you in a way that's sustainable, realistic, and still enjoyable. So, take a moment next time you're in the grocery aisle to scan the labels, consider an alternative, and think about what's really in the foods you buy. You can still have the snacks you love, the treats you grew up with, and the convenience you need. You just might be able to enjoy them in a way that's a little cleaner, a little smarter, and better for you in the long run. Thanks for watching, and until next time on Maple Leaf Insider.